I kissed my lecturer. Who is this tall glass of wine? I wondered as I watched a gorgeous man walk to the front of the class. He's a new lecturer, a lady beside me said to the other person sitting beside her. He is handsome, though, the other one said in a hushed tone. Good morning, class, the handsome lecturer said, and the class murmured a response to him. I am Dr. Langdon, and welcome to Psi 201. I would like to be familiar with you all, so everyone will introduce themselves starting from you, he said, pointing to the person in front of him. I was retaking the course because I struggled with juggling school and music. My bandmates were my friends, and they were not sitting with me in that class because apparently they were smarter than I was. I still needed to tell them what was going on in class, so I brought out my phone and secretly took a picture of the lecturer, then sent it to my friend group chat. Look at the new lecturer, I typed. Ooh, he is handsome, Rachel, the female of the group, commented. I wonder why a young man like him is teaching us. Shouldn't he be working at Starbucks or some tech company, I texted. You would rather have a 40-year-old with a midlife crisis teach you? My other friend Jason asked. No, I'm just I was typing when my attention was called by Dr. Langdon. What's your name? He asked, his blue eyes piercing into my soul. Roman, I replied. Roman what? He asked again. Roman Reigns, I said, and a part of the class giggled, but the lecturer remained unamused. Sorry, it's Roman Cooper. Roman Cooper, please put your phone away, he said with a straight face, and then he walked away. He went to write on the board and began to teach. How I wish I could just fast forward this day or this session and graduate from this damn school, I typed. The two sent a laughing emoji. The years don't seem far anymore, Jason said. What are you talking about, Jay? The years seem very far, like 10 years away, Rachel replied. I giggled as I read the reply, but I didn't realize I was loud until the lecturer said, Care to share with the class what is so funny, Roman? I raised my head and saw everyone's eyes were in my direction. I felt embarrassed. No? It is either you are here with your rapt attention or you are out of this class, he said sternly. Put the phone away, I won't tell you the third time. What the hell is his deal, I thought to myself. It is his first day. He is supposed to act laid back a little. Okay, I said. You have one more strike to leave this lesson, he said. I was eager to take it because the class was boring to me. He turned away and resumed his teaching. I checked if he was watching me before I bent my head again to type. He just told me he would send me out of the class, I typed. He's supposed to be cool since it's his first day. He gave me 3 strikes and I have 1 left. You don't think he is supposed to be like that on the first day? Rachel asked. Nah, he is supposed to be chill, especially since he's young. When you exhaust it, come meet us outside, Jason replied. Absolutely, I said. Hey, the lecturer yelled. You've exhausted the strikes. Now you can take your leave. I reluctantly stood to my feet and walked out of the class. I was happy that I was finally free. He just sent me out, I sent to the group chat. I walked out and went to meet my friends, who were laughing as they saw me. We were there giggling and chilling until we saw Dr. Langdon walk past us. He is more handsome in person, Rachel said. He is so hot. Oh, please. He is just yet another boring lecturer and a young body. I don't like him already, I said with disgust. It didn't stop there with Dr. Langdon. He kept sending me out of class for the whole week, making me dislike him even more. In fact, it got to a point that he didn't need to tell me before I walked out of his class. Once I saw him coming, I always walked out of his class. Why not stop coming to class instead and save yourself the stress, you might ask. I just wanted him to know how much I disliked him. A week later, I went to a gay club to have a good time after a bad day. I went to the counter to get a drink. After getting it, I started to walk back when someone bumped into me, making a bit of the drink splash on me. Hey, watch it, I yelled at the person, even though the music was so loud. The person turned to me and said, Sorry. Then he paused. I was instantly shocked as I recognized who the person was. I couldn't believe my eyes. Dr. Langdon? I exclaimed. He was shocked too, but he quickly resumed his poker face and walked away from me. I remained in that spot looking at him as he went to the counter. He is gay? What were the odds of that I was going to see the lecturer whom I disliked in a gay club? I just couldn't believe it. I wanted to walk away, but I changed my mind and went to him. Let me have what he is having. I changed my mind, I said to the bartender. Who's gonna drink what you ordered then? Dr. Langdon asked. Me, I said, and gulped my drink. What do you want, Roman? He asked grumpily. I just came to order a drink. You have no control here, 'cause this is not your class, Langdon, I said. He turned to me saying nothing. Yeah, that's right, I called you Langdon. He shook his head and continued with his business. Just go, he said, disgusted. You can't tell me to leave. This isn't the classroom, I said. Then I will leave. He stood and prepared to walk away until he saw me stand too. He frowned and asked, What? You're gonna follow me? I guess so, I said. He sighed and sat back in the seat. I guess there's no use then. Then we both remained mute, sipping our drinks. So what are you doing here? Same reason you are here, he replied. So you are gay? You don't look like one, I said. Am I supposed to look like one? He asked. Not really, I'm just surprised, that's all. Well, now you know, he said. There seemed to be nothing we could say anymore, as Langdon didn't seem to be interested in the conversation until I had an idea. I gulped my drink, snatched his cup, and drank it. He was staring at me with utter disgust. What are you doing? I want to challenge you, I said. How many cups of this can you gulp? I'm not doing that with you, he said. Why? You being chicken? I said. He was mute for a while. Because I'm gonna win, he said. He then told the bartender to give us cups of the drink. I made a countdown and we began to gulp. Unfortunately, neither of us could go past 3 cups. I just remembered no one came with me. I have to stop or I'll crash my car, I said, panting. I have a class I have to lecture tomorrow, he said. He was panting too. That was not the main reason we stopped. It was because the drink was so strong. I know a liar when I see one, I said to him. Takes one to know one, Langdon replied, then suddenly burst into laughter. That was when we broke the ice and started talking. It was there I knew that Langdon was actually a cool person. You sound intelligent for someone who is never interested in class, Langdon said. You have the potential to be a top student. I'm not sure. I've got a band I'm in. It's difficult for gigs and at the same time going to class, I said. What's the name of your band? He asked. Kiss, I replied. Kiss? Just Kiss? He asked. Yeah, I replied. He suddenly frowned and then his face eased up immediately. I think I know of y'all, he said. You sang the song Everlasting, he asked. Yeah, you're a fan? I asked gleefully. No, my brother is a fan. He told me to listen to the song one time, but I forgot, he replied. Tell your brother I said hi, I said. We'll deliver the message, he said. Back to what we were saying. You can try studying when you have no gigs. If I have no gigs, then I have rehearsals for our next one, I replied. Excuses. I normally wouldn't do this, but how about I tutor you personally, he asked. Like personal lessons? Yeah, he replied. I'm not sure I'm sure you don't want to retake this course, he said, causing me to smile. I was reluctant, but I really did not want to retake the course. All right, I said, let's do it. Good, he said, and we cheered. 3 days later, Langdon began to tutor me at his house every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But for the 2 weeks we had been doing it, nothing seemed to be entering my thick head. It seemed like Langdon's thought of me being a potential top student was wrong. One day Langdon had to ask me, can you really not grasp things, or is it something else? Something else like what? I asked. Like you are intentionally not grasping it, he asked. Probably because I'm rebelling against my parents who don't see a future in my music, I replied. Why then did you agree to this? Is this not a waste of time? Well, I just want to do it and get it over with. Besides, I like you for not telling me to drop my music for my academics like every other person would. I wish I had someone to tell me to go with my dream to be an actor, but my father killed the dream when he said there were bills to pay and there was no guarantee that I would be a Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sorry about that, I said. No problem, he said. Then we went silent for a minute or two until he broke the silence. Let me listen to your music. I smiled and took out my phone. I played that song he talked about that night, Everlasting. We were barely some seconds into the song when I saw him nodding his head to the beat. I could tell he was feeling it. I like it, he said after the music ended. This is worth fighting for. You sound like a cool uncle who gives bad advice, I chuckled, prompting him to join in with a hearty laugh. A week later. Things changed since Langdon asked me that question. I started to study a lot and found that I enjoyed it, especially the thrill or feeling that I felt when I answered questions in class. I understood how those front-sitters felt when they answered a question correctly. I even started to get noticed by the people in class. I made friends and enemies too. While that was happening, I was always running late for rehearsals and had to apologize every time to my angry bandmates. Why are you always late? Rachel asked me after I came from a lesson on Thursday. I have got school, I replied as I picked up my guitar. School? When have you ever cared about school? Jason asked. Well, recently, I said. I was getting tired of begging. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to fail. Lies, Rachel yelled. Why do you think I'm lying? I don't know. You tell me why all of a sudden you were interested in your academics, she replied. You know what? I don't want to know anymore. Let's just practice before my mood changes. We were playing when Rachel suddenly paused and said she was not in the mood to sing. And then she angrily stormed out of the room and never came back. Jason followed suit before I could say anything. It was like that most times with them since I started taking my academics seriously. 2 weeks later, I got closer to Langdon. I was even at his home on days I didn't have lessons with him. While these were helping, I couldn't tell why I had butterflies in my belly whenever I saw Langdon. It was the same feeling when I tried to follow Langdon on Instagram and found out it was private. I requested a follow-up, and in about 5 minutes, he accepted me, and I could see all of his photos. I had begun to see him in my dreams, in my drinks, in my mirror, and in my thoughts. I was always fighting intrusive thoughts whenever I was with him to not lean into him and kiss him. I found myself always asking myself what was wrong with me. Why are you staring at me like that? Langdon asked, pulling me out of my daydream. We were sharing a cigarette. I asked absentmindedly. You've been staring at me for some minutes like you want to devour me, he said. Oh, I was just thinking, I said, chuckling. You're not planning to kill me, are you? He asked with a smile. No, why would I said, and we burst into a soft laughter. He gave me the cigarette again. I don't know, you tell me why you were staring, he said. Probably because you have beautiful eyes, I said, and then the mood became sober with us staring at each other. Each time I got the cigarette, it was as though I was kissing him and could almost feel his smoky breath in my throat. Roman, he stood to his feet to open his door. It's getting late. I'm not a kid, I said with a chuckle. I like to sleep early, he stuttered. Oh, I reluctantly stood and walked out of his home. Goodbye, Roman, prepare for your tests, he said and closed the door. As I walked home, all I could think about was how I wanted to kiss him before leaving. The following week, my test was approaching that week and I was at a crossroads. On the day when I was to have Langdon's test, my band and I had a gig around the same time. I was torn between leaving the gig and going for the test, or skipping the test and going for the gig. I thought to myself to tell Langdon, hoping that he would probably organize a makeup test or shift the date. Go for whichever one you feel is best. I can't shift the test or do a makeup test. No favoritism. Sorry, he said. Come on, Langdon, do it for me, I said. Call me Dr. Langdon. I am your lecturer, he replied sternly. Fine. Dr. Langdon, please do this for me, I said, and he shook his head while telling me no. Fine, I said, and walked out. Good luck in whichever you choose, I heard him say. I decided to do both. I planned to go for the test and finish it some minutes earlier before stop time. It was the plan I followed as I went into the class for the test, but what I faced was not part of the plan. The test was harder than I expected, and it took me more time to do it. It was about 2 minutes to the end of the test when I remembered that I was late. I rushed out to the front, submitted my paper, and ran out of the class. I almost forgot my guitar, and I had to go back to my room to get it. As soon as I boarded a taxi, I told him to rush down to the venue. So sorry, guys, I said to my friends when I got there. I got here as fast as I could. I had a test. Now, let's go play. At first, I had not noticed the sullen face on their faces until I saw Jason walk out on me. I did not know what was going on. Rachel, what's going on? You were late again for the 100th time. That's what's going on. She wanted to angrily walk out. Wait, I'm so sorry. I'm here now. Let's go play, I said. Leave me alone, Roman. It couldn't happen because you were not here, she said. We do not want you here again. What? I exclaimed. You are no longer part of the band anymore, she yelled and stormed out of the venue. I tried begging them, but they did not listen. I had let them down so hard I felt devastated and beyond broken-hearted. I tried to apologize to them for days, but they did not listen to me. Each time they saw me in school, they always acted like I was just air. I wrote them letters, appeared at their doors, called them, and did everything, but they did not listen. I was sitting on the bleachers at the sports field brooding about my predicaments when I heard someone's voice. Hey, I've been looking for you all over, he said with a smile, which soon faded as soon as he saw my long face. What's going on? I let my friends down, I said sadly. How? What happened at the gig? I did not get there in time, Langdon. The gig could not happen because of me. It was a big gig and I messed it up for my friends. Now they won't forgive me, I replied sorrowfully. I'm so sorry, Roman. You were at a crossroads and you tried to go both ways. You did what you could, he said. If you had shifted the test, I would not be here, Lan, I replied. I'm sorry, Roman. I just couldn't, he said. Then there was silence as he patted me. I've got something to lift your spirits, though. This is not the time to smoke, Lan. No, it's not that, he said, and put a paper in my hands. I opened it and froze as I looked at the paper. It was my test script. "This can't be my script," I said with a shock. "It is. Everything was all you. I'm happy for you, Roman," he said. Suddenly, I leapt and screamed my lungs out. I was beyond happy that I could do the test and ace it, even though it seemed hard. I was so overjoyed that I jumped on Langdon and gave him a kiss. He wanted to resist, but the kiss made his hands weak until they became strong again to pull himself from me. "Roman!" he yelled with anger. "I'm sorry," I immediately apologized. He was fuming, like he wanted to punch me. He stood to his feet and started to walk from me. "Langdon, I'm sorry. Langdon!" I yelled his name till I could not see him again. "What's wrong with you, Roman? Why do you keep messing things up?" I was going crazy and felt like screaming. Later that evening. All that there was in my mind that evening was how things could have gone differently. I should have skipped the test. I should have gone for the gig. I should have not kissed Lan. At least, not yet. What have you done, Roman? These thoughts were going through my mind. Just then my phone rang for a message notification. I checked it and saw it was from Langdon. "I'm sorry for leaving that way, Roman. It just happened so fast I didn't know what to do," the message said. "I'm sorry too. I should not have kissed you. I have been nursing unholy feelings for you," I replied. No, I wanted the kiss, ... he replied. I was dumbfounded by what I read. "Wait, you did?" I immediately typed back. "Yeah, I've been having the same feelings for you. I've been doing a great job stopping it from manifesting, but that kiss broke me. I can't hide it anymore," he replied. I smiled when I read it. "Wow, Langdon, I shouldn't forgive you for making me feel so stupid, but the feelings are strong." "I'm sorry I made you feel that way," he said. "It's okay. So, Lan, what do we do with this information? What happens?" "How about we talk about it on a date at my place tomorrow?" he asked. I had already imagined how that date was going to end up. In bed, definitely. "It is a date then," I texted, blushing. I was overjoyed, like I was at that moment I kissed him on the field. I couldn't wait for the next day to even come. It was on the date we made it official, but decided to keep it a secret for fear of what the university management might do. 2 weeks later. Life became sweet for about a week or two until one guy in my class called Finn said to me point blank, "I know what you did last week." "What do you mean?" I asked him. "I know your secret," he said. "What secret?" I asked curiously. "I saw you kissing Dr. Langdon, and I've got a picture of you two," he whispered. He smiled when he saw the shock on my face. "What?" I was about to say something when he cut me short. "Don't say anything further. You know what to do. Scratch my back and I scratch yours," he said with a grin. "See ya," he said and walked away. Oh shit, Langdon and I were in big soup. We had barely started dating when that problem raised its ugly head. It was starting to feel like it was something we might not get out of. I thought of telling Lan straight away, but I did not want to because I could not stand his worrying. I needed to do something fast. For that reason, I hired a guy to help me steal Finn's phone and bring it to me. The phone was stolen successfully and was handed to me. I had plans to wipe his phone and return it so he would know he could not mess with me, but something happened. I got a message from an unknown number which said, "You thought you could mess with me. I'll show you who you're really dealing with." "Roman, you are viral on Twitter right now," a classmate called my attention. "What do you mean?" I asked. "There's a video of you and Dr. Langdon going around," the classmate replied. My heart skipped a beat as I heard her words. What did she mean by that? I stole his phone. How did it happen? How? My world came crashing down. I was running mad and could not breathe. By the time I got to Langdon, he had already seen it and was so sad that I began to blame myself on the instant for doing what I did. "Our secret is out, Roman. I think we are doomed," he said agitatedly. "No, don't talk that way. We are not doomed. It is just a silly mistake. I thought I could correct it." "What are you saying, Roman? I don't get you," he said with worry. "The guy wanted to blackmail us and I didn't want to allow him, so I stole his phone thinking it was resolved, but I didn't know he had a backup. I am so sorry." "Why did you not tell me before doing it? Why? We could have found a better way," he said angrily. "I'm so sorry. I just could not stand you worrying," I said sadly. "And how's that going now?" he asked. "Please, I need to be alone, Roman." "Lan, please just go," he said. "But I was trying to help." I was speaking when Langdon told me to leave without the please. I angrily left his presence with tears welling up in me. I was angry and hurt that Langdon could make me feel that way for trying to help. Eventually, he tried to reach out to me to apologize, but I didn't listen to him. We didn't see each other for about 2 days until we were called before the university disciplinary committee. It was decided that Langdon would be on probation for conflict of interest while they conducted investigations. We were going to be called up another day. "Roman, wait!" Langdon pulled me as I was walking out. "What do you want?" I asked angrily. "How long are you going to keep avoiding me?" he asked. "You know I should be the one doing this." "Look, Langdon, I have the right to be angry too. All I have been doing for the past few weeks now is begging and apologizing. I am human too. I have the right to be angry that you did not understand me." "What the hell are you saying, Roman? We could have avoided this if you had just told me," he said. "Probably it was meant to happen, don't you agree? Aren't you tired of being ashamed of us?" I asked. "You didn't hear that I am now on probation? How do I pay my bills if I lose this job?" he asked. "My father will not be happy." "You know what, Len? It is fine. Let's make this easy by ending this," I replied in annoyance. "What? Roman!" he exclaimed. He kept calling my name while I walked off. We did not try to speak to each other, although I fought the urge sometimes and eventually I suppressed it. Rachel and Jason came to me while I waited for the date I would appear before the committee. They comforted me and forgave me. They also brought me back into the band again. I was happy that at least my friends were back with me. Yet, I thought of dropping out. It had been on my mind for long. Some days later, Langdon and I appeared before the committee once again. I just wanted to get it all over with and still save Langdon's job. "Can I speak?" I asked. They permitted me to go ahead. "I want to confess that nothing is going on between us. Dr. Langdon just wanted to help me because I was a failing student. I only mistook his help for something deeper." "But the evidence says otherwise," one of the committee said. "The evidence is flawed," I said. "How?" "Dr. Langdon has been helping me to raise my grades, so when I did his test, he was more than happy to tell me that I did well. I was overjoyed and kissed him because I had feelings for him," I said. "But Dr. Langdon rebuked me right after the kiss and distanced himself from me. The person who took the video only took the portion he wanted to use to blackmail me." "Is this true, Dr. Langdon?" one of the committee asked. He turned to look at me before he said yes. "How do we know you are not lying?" "I would suggest that another test be conducted for me by someone other than Dr. Langdon," I said. The committee agreed on it and told me they would keep a close watch on both of us to ensure we were not going to be in contact. As I walked out of the Senate building, Langdon called me. "We shouldn't be in contact, Dr. Langdon. We will see some other time," I said, and walked away. I had cried after our breakup and was strong enough to hold the tears as I heard him thank me while I went further. I did the test and aced it. For that reason, the committee pardoned Langdon and me with a strict warning that we should be 3 feet apart. When we came out of the building, all we could do was speak with our eyes because the committee said we had to. After that day, Langdon and I never saw each other or spoke to each other. I focused more on myself and mending my relationship with my bandmates. I also tried to find a balance between my music and academics all on my own. Yet there were times when I felt this strong yearning for him. No matter what I did, I couldn't stop missing him. A week later. The next time I saw Langdon up so close was when I performed at a party. He was seated among the crowd, but I was able to catch him. I almost lost concentration, wondering if he came to that place because of me, but I regained it anyways. After the performance, I was packing up when I felt a slight touch on my shoulder. I turned to see it was Langdon. "Hey," Langdon said, smiling. "Hi," I replied with a wry smile. "You were amazing up there," he said. "Thank you," I said, and almost forgot myself while looking at him. "What are you doing here?" "To be honest, I would be lying if I said it was a coincidence," he said, and I sighed. "We are supposed to be 3 feet apart, Dr. Langdon," I said. "Yeah, but I can't lie. It is killing me being away from you. I just wanted to see you maybe one last time," he said. "I feel an ache in my chest each time you call me Dr. Langdon." "Well, that's what we have become. Things are a little different now," I said. "Yeah," he said, and there was an awkward silence. I've had some time to think about us, about what this all means. I don't want to hide anymore. If that means quitting my job, I'll do it. I'm willing to take that risk for you." I was stunned for a moment after I heard his words. "Langdon," I muttered. "As I have said, I have been thinking about us every day since the committee passed their judgment. I miss every moment we had together, and I would never be whole again if you were not in my life." I bit my lip while looking at him and said, "I don't want to be a secret anymore, but I don't want you to lose everything because of me. Everything about us is worth losing anything on. I don't want to be miserable all my life because I lost you. I could always find another job," he said. His words were tempting, but I wanted to give it a thought first. "With all that has happened, it would take more than just words to get back to you," I said. "I am prepared to do everything to show you how much I love you and how much I want you back," he said. "I would like to think about it," I said, and picked up my guitar. "Goodbye, Lan." On my way home, I was battling with the thought of whether I should have accepted on the spot or not. I didn't want to jump back into it. I needed to know how willing he was to risk it. But then again, the distance was killing me too. After all, I still loved him. 2 weeks later, I still could not find an answer to give Langdon, and it was making me lose sleep. Mostly because he was always calling me and texting while I was ignoring him. I just didn't know what to do. At the same time, I needed to write a song for my next gig, but the issue with Langdon was stopping ideas from coming. Suddenly, I got a call from an unknown number. I thought it must be Langdon and ignored the call. I got the call 3 more times, and I had to pick it up. "What is it, Langdon?" "Is this Roman Cooper?" the caller said. The voice didn't sound like Langdon. "Yeah, who is this?" I asked. Langdon White had an accident and he is at the hospital," the caller said. "What?" I yelled, shocked out of my wits. "What's the address?" I asked as I wore my sandals and stormed out of the house. I rushed down to the hospital, panting and frightened that something happened to Langdon. But as I reached there, I found him standing at the gate smiling. "What's going on?" I yelled, still stunned. "It was a prank, He barely finished when I shut him up with a slap. "What kind of stupid thing is that? You almost gave me a heart attack. I rushed down here. I burst into tears saying those words. "What were you trying to prove?" "I'm sorry, Roman. I just had to see you some way," he said. "And this is the best you can come up with? This is ridiculous," I said angrily and wanted to leave, but he pulled me back and kissed me. Then he detached his lips to look at me. "I'm sorry. I just had to see you. You were not returning my calls or texts. I just had to reach you." "You could have used another way," I said. "I'm sorry. I really am," he said, and he paused. "I resigned yesterday." "What?" I exclaimed. "Yeah. I know you have been thinking hard about it, and I wanted to give you the easy way out," he said. "That's stupid." "Isn't that what love is? Being stupidly in love?" he asked. "I really love you, Roman. I can't help it." "What if I don't love you as I used to?" I asked. "You just showed me you still have love to give, Roman. I know you love me as much as I love you. Why don't we give it a shot?" I stared at his blue eyes for a long time in stunned silence. "Okay, Lan, let's try this one more time," I said with a broad smile. "Are you serious?" he beamed. As soon as I nodded, he hugged me and pulled me in for a kiss. Conclusion. From that day, Lan and I continued our relationship like it was a fresh start. He got a job that was better than his lecturing job, and the university still believed Langdon left the university and especially me for good. Many people thought so, but were not aware that we were still in love. Despite everything, Langdon and I found something real and beautiful, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. The end. Have you ever done anything crazy for love? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.